Shabbat Shalom. That was a Hanukkah medley. That included a little sample of all the songs we're not going to sing tonight. Well, we didn't want you to be frustrated. If you know, oh, what is that song? They didn't do that song. We just did it. We just did it, so I will have no emails in my inbox after tonight. Thank you. Bruchim habayim, welcome, welcome. Blessed are you who came here on this night, on the annual celebration of Hanukkah. And we were so eager to celebrate Hanukkah this year that we decided to do it even before it starts. Because we couldn't wait. And we didn't want to compete with the other holiday. Because Hanukkah this year, the first candle actually, is Christmas Day. I mean the evening of Christmas Day.
Yeah, Christmas night.
So is that Wednesday night? Wednesday night. So this is not only the celebration of Hanukkah, this is also the solstice. Yes, the solstice. Finally, within the next 2 or 3 months, the days will grow longer. It starts tonight. It starts tonight. So there is always hope. There is always hope. So we're going to begin. Rewind. There. The young people here don't know what I mean by rewind. I'm like, what's rewind? Anyways. We'll start. So you have a handout together with your prayer book tonight. I hope everybody grabbed your handout. Raise your hand if you don't have a handout. Okay. So you can go home. There are handouts probably on the back table. Because we're going to barely use the prayer book tonight. All the songs that we have tonight are part of the handout. So the first one we're going to start with in just a moment is Light One Candle. And that's, I think, on page 1, which makes sense. Except most of the time our songs are never on page 1, but tonight the first song is on page 1. I'm going to give, I'm talking a lot so that people didn't have a handout, have the chance to grab one and come and sit down. I love the first 2 stanzas of that song. Finally I did the third one, thanks to Celia, who reminded us, there is a third stanza in that song. And every year we miss it, and we only do the first 2. So we added the third one this year. But I like the first 2 because every line to me of the first 2, and the first 2 stanzas are each 4 lines, as you can see. And they really are matching 4 and 4, the 8 candles of a full Chanukiah. And to me, I've always seen this 4 lines and this 8 lines as kind of setting up an intention for each of our candles every night. So you're welcome to take those handouts home with you, and every night you can really look at them and set up an intention for the light you're kindling. And remember that the first candle is the one you light 8 times. So that's the most important one. So we're going to see. So the first line, to me, in summary, I'm not going to, it's the first line of the first stanza speaks of gratitude, right? If you read it, you can see it speaks of gratitude. And I love that that's the candle that is lit 8 times. Because 8 nights of Hanukkah, we always begin with gratitude. Looking at our lives and what is it we're grateful for? What is it I'm grateful for? What is good in my life that I want to bring the light to it this year? The next one is about the courage to fight for our right to exist. And I was listening to the musicians rehearse. And it's so poignant this year. You know, I've rarely heard that second line as profoundly as I am feeling it this year. The courage to fight for our right to exist. The third one is about justice and freedom. The fourth one is the wisdom we each need, we all need, the world needs, so that we can usher in peace. The fifth one, if you continue to look at so that's the second stanza, is the strength needed for self-care. You know, we're so outwardly directed. We all want to, make the world a better place. But what about us? And self-care is critical if we actually want to be a force for good in the world. So I'm really glad that is also included in that song. The sixth one is about compassion for those who are suffering. It's beautiful. The seventh one, to me, it's about unity and oneness. And the last one is reminding us of our interbeingness, that we are. We're not just isolated silos in the world. We exist interconnectedly. We are. Thich Nhat Hanh used to use that as his core teaching of blessed memory now. But he wrote books about the interbeingness of everything. Everything exists. We do not exist as individuals in the vacuum. We exist in the interconnection of all life on earth, really. So I think as I'm inviting you now to come up and light your candles, I want all of us to kind of hold this kavanot, all these intentions with each candle. The way we're going to light the candles tonight for your Chanukiah, because there's so many beautiful Chanukiot. So on this table is the menorah, where we have as a Shabbat menorah for our Shabbat candles. On this table, and they have seven branches. The Chanukiah, which is the Chanukah menorah, all of those beautiful ones right here, have 9. Have 9 candles because there's 8 days of Chanukah, and there's 1 candle we use to light all the other candles, which is called the Shemesh. Shemesh in Hebrew means sun, so it's the one that lights everything, right? And the Shamus, in Yiddish, Shamus, in old synagogue in Europe, the Shamus was the synagogue's caretaker. So I like that also for that candle. It's the one that takes care of all the other ones. So you always light the first the shamash, the caretaker, right? And when at home, when you do that from Wednesday, you put your candles in the Chanukiah the way we read Hebrew, from right to left, right? And then you always kindle the candle of the day first. So if it's the third day, you light the third candle, and then the second, and then the first. Okay? That's the way you do it. Tonight, specifically, because there's so many Chanukiot, and it's going to be hard, if you remember where your Chanukiah is on the table, I'm going to invite those who have Chanukiah at the center to light first. Because if you start lighting the Chanukiot that are on the periphery, then those in the middle will burn themselves trying to light theirs. So everybody come up, but please let the people who have the Chanukiot in the inner circle or the inner rectangle of the table light their candles first. While that is happening, after Sia lights her candles, we're going to sing the song. So that's what we're going to do. We sing the song. Go ahead and start lighting because it's going to take a while. Please let the people whose Chanukiah is in the middle light first so it goes faster.
Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when the right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our hopes and our fears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our hopes and our fears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our hopes and our fears. Light one candle for the Maccabee children, give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our hopes and our fears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our hopes and our fears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cried out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let
Oh, now you're clapping? All right, I think we are almost there. Find your seats if you have kindled your candles. The night dinosaurs. Menorosaurus, of course. Chanukiasaurus. So in your handout, in the back page, the last page, are all the blessings. So that's what we're going to do now. So the reason we it's Shabbat, the reason and for next Friday, when you light your third candle next Friday, you have to do the same thing. You have to light your Hanukkah candles first, and then your Shabbat candles. Why? Because once you light the Shabbat candles, it's Shabbat. And once it's Shabbat, you cannot light fire anymore. So too bad for your Hanukkah candles. So you'll do the same thing. You light your Hanukkah candle, your 3 candles, plus the shamash, that should be 4. And then you'll say the blessings that are on this page. And there is the melody. Where are the kids from the kids program? Anyone here? What's the melody? You know, there's a special melody. Can you tell me? Can you remind me the melody? Anybody? All right. Everybody's very shy. You know? Do you know? Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. Great. So we all know it. You guys know it? No. La da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, da. And that's your first class in Hebrew. The first word you ever know is yai dai dai. And with that, you can sing anything in Hebrew. It's perfect. Okay. So, join me blessing the Hanukkah lights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של חנוכה. Continue. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Beautiful. We don't say the third one. You'll say that one on Wednesday night because that's when you light the first candle. It's the same melody, but it's the Shehechianu, but it's the same melody. Wonderful. We continue with Ma'oz Tzur, which is on page 2 of your handout.
תפילתי ושם תודה נזבח לעת אחין מטבח לפר המנבח אז לגמור בשיר מזמור חנוכת המזבח
you can tell those are all kosher candles for Hanukkah. Because according to the Talmud, according to Jewish law, the candles of Hanukkah should burn 20 minutes. So they are created to burn about 20 minutes. That's what that's why the people who lit their candles in the middle first, those are they're almost done. But that's always according to Jewish law. You might not even know that, but your Hanukkah candles, if you buy Hanukkah candles, they are meant to burn about 20 minutes. Which brings me to tell you a little bit about the history of Hanukkah, as I am fond to do every time. And since I wasn't with you last year, I get to do it. We are 329 years, more or less, a day or two, before the Common Era. 329 BCE. And Alexander the Great wasn't really great for everyone, but Alexander the Great conquers most of Eastern Mediterranean lands. What's known as Turkey today, Syria, Lebanon, obviously Israel, all the way down to Egypt, and hence the name of the major city in Egypt at the time, Alexandria. It's a pretty known little town in Egypt. And obviously, at that time, the Jewish people fall under his rule as well. Judea falls under his rule. The kingdom of the Jews was Judea, which is very interesting in and of itself, because we are the descendant of the Judean people, of the tribe of Yehuda, which gives its name to Judea. So if anybody asks or wants to tell you that Jews are not indigenous to the land, you can tell them that our very name, though in English it came to be Jewish, which is a little bit far from Yehudi, but the word in Hebrew for Jewish is Yehudi, which literally means from Yehuda, from the land of Judah. So our name we're not really Jewish. Well, depends on who you ask. We're not really Jewish, but we are Judeans. We are literally from the land. It's in our name. That's who we are. We are of the land of Judea as Yehudim. Yehudim in the plural. Right? So even our name explicitly tells where we are from and who the indigenous people of that land were some thousands of years ago. What the Greek Empire brings to the lands that it conquers is not ruling by force or by fear, but in fact they have this incredible system called Hellenism. And Hellenism is basically a social-political tool that they use to assimilate into their own culture and their own way of life all the people they conquer. So they don't conquer, and they conquer violently at first, but once they have conquered and once their empire is settled, they do all they can to woo people to become like them, to make them assimilate themselves in their culture. So what they have to help us, or to help the people they conquer fall in love with their culture, is they bring things like sports. The Greeks were very much known for their sports. They built arenas to have sports. I mean, we know that the Olympics are named Olympics because they're from Olympia down south. Now they're from Olympia down in the country of Greece, which is in Europe. That's new for most people. I mean, most people didn't know anything about sports. So that's very attractive for people who discover this kind of way of life. They bring a thing called theater, actors on the stage that tell stories. when you live in a place where you don't even have TV, like, what are you doing to pass the time? And these new people, they bring theater to you. And people learn to declaim verses and tell stories in front of you. Very attractive. They bring also great philosophy. They're an advanced civilization at that time. They have great philosophers, they have mathematicians, they have really like the cream of the crop of what the Western world had to offer at that time. And for us, the people of the book, who was, one of the few people on the planet that were somewhat literate because we had to study our Torah, it's also very attractive. All these new ideas and philosophies and the way of seeing the world, it's a big wow to us. And so we become very attracted to that. They bring a different way of thinking politically. They have this new concept that are very foreign to us about how do you manage the police, not the police as the cops, but the POLIS, the way that the society functions. Very interesting. A lot of incredible advances. And for the most of the people who live under their rule, their way of life is incredibly attractive. Incredibly attractive. And the Judeans, the Jews, the Jewish people, the Judeans of the time, most of them glom onto it. They really adopt it. Most people actually, most of us, really loved it. We loved almost everything about it. And so we changed our way of life. Suddenly we wear those togas. We didn't used to wear togas before. Suddenly we name our own children Alexander. Like, who names their children the name of their conqueror? But it was such an incredible place to be and to be a part of that we started to name our children after our rulers, after our conquerors. So you can see that there's great attraction to us. But of course, there are also those who resist, who say, no, we can't do that. We can't lose ourselves. We can't lose our identity, and try to overcome that. And the move is to become more observant of our laws. And the more we do that, the more the rulers, because there's one governor that succeeds another in that part of the empire. I'm not going to go into the very details of all the story, but at some point, there's one of the governors of the area that says, these Jews, these Judeans, they're not becoming Greek fast enough. I mean, we've been there, and overall, the Greek Empire is going to be there for 160 years. And this guy, Antiochus, is going to see that those Jews are not assimilated. And he's going to say, maybe this is not working. So instead of continuing the process of Hellenizing with peaceful means, he's going to start to be more violent toward us. One of the things he's going to do is going to ban us from studying the Torah under penalty of death. That's why to this day we have, when we study the Torah, we also study the Haftarah. Those of you might know that. The Haftarah comes from our rebellion against the Greek at the time. Because they told us, you can't read the Torah or we'll kill you. Right? Then we made that face. But we say, okay, what we're going to do is that we're going to read the other books. Book of Prophets, Book of Kings, whatever. And we're going to find in those books the stories that are going to remind us of the weekly Torah portion that we're supposed to read right now. So, it's like the first Jewish lawyers. How to circumvent the law, right? How to abide by the law, but also get what you need. And so that's what we did. And we did that in 300 BCE, and now it's 2020, almost 5, and we're still doing it. Because once we start a tradition, we're hoarders. Once we start a tradition, even if the Greek Empire is long gone, 2,300 years ago, we're still doing that. Just in case, the next Greek Empire comes, we're prepared. if we have the same edict, we know what to do. So we still do this to this time, which makes the bar mitzvah kids go crazy because that's more stuff they have to learn for their ceremony. It's like, come on, why punish us for what the Greek did? You know? I understand them. I mean, it's always a good conversation to have. So beyond that, I mean, Antiochus bans circumcision. Antiochus defiles the temple, transformed the temple, the holy temple, into a Greek pagan worship, temple. Tears down all the Jewish symbols, all the Judean symbols, and starts to worship the many gods of Greek paganism, included even sacrificing pigs on the holy altar of the temple. And that was kind of the pigs that broke the camel's back, something like, I'm mixing all the metaphors. But that brought about the revolt. And the revolt is led by someone named Yehuda, from Yehuda, because Yehuda is also a first name. Yehuda, whose last name come to be Maccabee, is from the tribe of the Hashmonean family. But he came to be known as the Maccabee, Yehuda Maccabee, because Maccabee in ancient Hebrew meant the hammer. He was called Yehuda the Hammer. Why was he called Yehuda the Hammer? Because he practiced guerrilla warfare, meaning that when he saw Greek troops, he ambushed them, hammered at them, killed as many as possible, and then disappeared into the hills or wherever, because we knew the terrain much better than our conquerors. And so he's known as Maccabee the Hammer. So if you go to Israel during Hanukkah, you'll see people on the streets with little plastic hammers bopping each other on the head. And he makes pickle, pickle, like that. And people just bonk each other with plastic hammers. There's just all kinds of ways to celebrate the holiday. Some of the pig sacrifices happened on the 25th of Kislev. So this is the month of Kislev. The 25th will be starting Wednesday night because our days start on the evening. So as sun set on Wednesday, it will be the 25th of Kislev. And that was the start of the revolt. It started at the year 169 BCE. And it lasts for 3 years. It's a very brutal revolt that eventually is victorious. I'm trying to go as fast as I can through the history, but and the Maccabees and their soldiers push back and defeat the mighty Greek armies, recapture the temple, and it happened at around this time of the year, and the year was 166 BCE. They reconquered Jerusalem, which was the capital of the Judean state, and clean it up as much as they can. Brought back from the catacombs underneath the temple all the objects of Judean cult, of the Jewish cult, and decide to rededicate the temple to Jewish worship. The word for dedication in Hebrew is Chanukah. So it's not the name of the holiday, but it's the name that commemorates what our ancestor did 2,166 years ago-ish, right? To dedicate the temple once again to Jewish worship. Dedication is Chanukah. When you buy a new house, for example, right? You call the rabbi. I'll leave you my phone number later. You call the rabbi and say, Rabbi, I just bought a house. I need a mezuzah put on the door of my house to dedicate it to, my family and my life here. Then I come and we do a little celebration in your house. And that celebration is called a Chanukah. It's a Chanukah Bait. Bait in Hebrew is house. So it's the Chanukah of the house. Is the dedication of the house. right? Why did the Hanukkah of the temple lasted 8 days? Because the last holiday that just happened in the fall that we just had missed was Sukkot. And Sukkot lasts 8 days. And the Maccabees wanted to match, to remember the holiday that just passed to be the holiday for the dedication of the temple. So they partied day and night for 8 days and 8 nights. And they made sure to do that to commemorate the beginning of the revolt on the same day as the revolt began. So it happened also on the 25th of Kislev, right? They did it on purpose. And so that's how that holiday was born. Which means that even this year, when our holiday starts on Christmas, Hanukkah has nothing to do with Christmas. Ours is a celebration of a military victory, of the independence of our people, and of reclaiming our right to our identity and to our faith. Right? So the story is vastly different than Christmas. And I always a little bit cringe when people say that, it must be the same thing because it happens around the same month. No, it is not. It is really, really not. I mean, unless I miss something about Christmas and it's also about a military victory, in which case, please see me at the end of services. Okay, there's more to talk about, but we just started, so all is good. So, Sukkot, 8 days, 8 candles, 8 candelicas. How was that?
Hanukkah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Oh, una candelica, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí.
Muchas fiestas por hacer, con alegrías y placer. Muchas fiestas por hacer, con alegrías y placer.
Oh, una candelica, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí.
Los pastelicos voy a comer, con almendricas y la miel. Los pastelicos voy a comer, con almendricas y la miel.
Oh, una candelica, 2 candelicas, 3 candelicas, 4 candelicas, 5 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí.
I love that we have all these songs because they really showcase wherever the Jews have been. I mean, this is a Ladino song, and it brings up all our ancestry that is of Sephardi descent, all the Jews who still to this day live in Spanish-speaking places all through Central and Latin America. We used to be in Spain. Now there's like 5 of us left there. Spain used to be the Jewish center, like it was the US of the time. And now there's really nothing left. But it's also the Sephardim are also the Sephardim Mizrahim, which are Middle Eastern Jews. Jews who, like my family, were born in Arab lands, Arab Jews. So I'm really delighted. We have all kinds of songs from all the branches of our beautiful tree of life. It is time for our Shabbat candles. So I'd like to, first of all, we're going to do two-step dance. First, before we light the candles, it is traditional to give tzedakah, a little bit of the abundance in our lives, to heal and benefit the world. This is the last Shabbat where we share half of your donation with the Hillel at the University of Washington. Our board wanted to make sure that, especially as this first semester began, fearing that there could be more troubles at the university for Jewish students, that we wanted to strengthen the Hillel, because Hillel is a haven for Jewish kids at the UW, where they can find support and they can find each other, and they can find a place to talk and figure out what to do when things like that happen on campus. So that's why we dedicated this quarter to supporting Hillel. So those of you who are here, if you have a few coins or dollar bills in your pockets, there is a box in the back of the sanctuary. If you don't have any coins or bills, worry not. We have a little icon there. If you go with your phone, it'll just open your Venmo account, and you can make a donation through Venmo. And it's beautiful. If you're online, either on the app or on our website, just go to the donate button and find the drop-down menu where it says tzedakah, and your money will go directly to support that. Say what? You can do it when you leave, absolutely. Okay, so while some people are doing that, I'm going to invite those who are lighting candles tonight to come forward and light our Shabbat candles while we waltz our nigun. You can stay. For those of you who are here for the first time, every Shabbat we invite members of our community to come forward and light for us our community's Shabbat candles. And as they do so, they also share with us what they are lighting for. Sometimes it's joy, sometimes not so much, whatever they are honoring, celebrating, marking. Tonight, on our left, we're going to start with Cindy Campbell. And Cindy is lighting Shabbat candles in celebration of her daughter, Julie, who is graduating from Central Washington University with a major in supply chain management and minor in accounting.
She got the notice today.
Okay, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. Oh, Linda. Linda Moldauer is lighting Shabbat candle tonight because in memory of her grandpop, Otto Lowy, on his yard site this Shabbat. Behind Linda is Stephanie Hitzroth, and Stephanie is lighting tonight for her mother, Judy Kenny, on her 28th yard site. Next to Stephanie, behind over there, is a little group of folks. We named them the Krupkin family for short, and they're up here lighting Shabbat candle, supporting David, who is lighting for his grandfather, Hai Krupkin, on his 28th yard site as well. In front of them is Paulina Libes, and Paulina is lighting our candles tonight with gratitude for our beautiful, healthy family. Her East Coast mishpocha, her older son with his wife and 2 daughters, her niece too, they all plan to arrive to Seattle, I'm guessing, on December 26th.
Yes,
So for the second Hanukkah candle.
that son was born on the 5th day of Hanukkah.
And he was born on the 5th day of Hanukkah, so he's going to have a lot of candles to light for his birthday. Linda Morris is lighting Shabbat candles to honor 3 beautiful souls that made their transition last week. Maria Berry, some of you may remember Maria Berry. Maria Berry was a former board member of Bet Aleph, definitely a member of Bet Aleph, passed away December 11th. Dan Trudeau, close friends and neighbor, made his transition the day before on December 10. And Sean Demerel, the son of a longtime friend, passed away yesterday. May all their memory be for blessing. Yeah. Okay, next to Linda, we have Mike and Rachel, or the Rufas, as we are calling them. They are lighting Shabbat candles for the yard site of Rachel's grandmother, Shana Gittel. At home, we have virtual candle lighters. Elizabeth Heath is lighting her Shabbat candles at home to honor the 14th yard site of her dear friend and fellow seeker, Dennis Reagan. Jan Simon is lighting her Shabbat candles tonight, one for her husband, Alain Arridge, on his 16th yard site, and one for her father, Mel Simon, on his 43rd yard site. And Ellen Lyons in Mexico is lighting a special candle to honor the memory of her father, Arthur Baldoff Jr., on his 49th yard site. And I'm asking you, as you close your eyes, to see what light is yearning inside of you to be blessed. What is it that you are wanting to bless tonight? What is it you are celebrating, honoring, remembering? What is the light you seek perhaps to kindle in your life or rekindle in your life? The words of the blessing for the light of Shabbat, not of the candles of Shabbat, is in your prayer book on page 1. And as we recite the words, we cover our eyes to remind ourselves that what we are blessing is the light awakening within us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. Thank you all. And while a few of our candles are still burning, very few, as you notice, we must be 20-some minutes into the service. That's how I know that it's been 20 minutes, not an hour, it's just been 20 minutes. I want to talk a little bit about the holiday of Hanukkah. The holiday of Hanukkah is a holiday of light, as you can tell. Well, almost. It happens at the darkest time of the year. Now, the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar that gets updated every 2 to 3 or 4 years, depending, so that we merge back with the solar calendar and add, actually, every 2 or 3 or 4 years, we had an extra month. So we have, every 2 or 3 years, a 13-month year to catch up with the solar calendar. But we follow the lunar calendar, which means that we lose days every year compared to the solar calendar, which is why our holidays are always at a different time. Always at a different time, based on the Gregorian calendar. Hanukkah always starts on the 25th of Kislev. But for those who follow the Gregorian calendar or the secular calendar, it looks like it's moving, every year. But it's not. It's always on the 25th of Kislev, as far as I'm concerned. We believe that it's a very, very ancient holiday. Before the candles appeared, before the oil appeared, all over Mesopotamia, because of the darkness of the time, people had festivals of light. They lit huge bonfires because back 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, people were very scared of the darkness. And when it came to this time of the year, where not only the sun is at its lowest, obviously tonight, tomorrow night, and the next 3 nights, the sun is barely doesn't move at its lowest point in the horizon. And because we follow the moon also, if you go outside on Wednesday, and if we don't have too many clouds, you'll see that the moon is also barely a sliver. So it's the darkest days and the darkest night at the time of the darkest days. And when that happened, in very pagan times, people just were so scared that, the sun was never going to go back up in the sky ever. And, there were all kinds of mythologies built on, the forces of darkness, literally, were winning over the forces of light. And maybe the gods this year were not going to bring the sun back. And it's always going to be like that. And the sun is going to be always that low in the horizon. And all the stories came around that. So they lit bonfire. There were all kinds of rituals, I'm sure. We've lost historically what the festivals were. But we know that it always happened. And it wasn't, mere candles. It was really huge bonfires. Now, in Rome, interestingly enough, the 25th of December in Rome was the birthday of what they called the unconquerable sun. Now, why? Very briefly. The sun sets at the lowest point on the 21st, 23rd, and 24th of December. For 3 days in a row, the sun doesn't move in the sky. And, in ancient time, that's how you could tell the season, the time, you could tell, so everybody knew. Everybody observed that the sun was at its lowest point. And then suddenly, on the 25th or the 24th and the 25th, the sun lasted maybe a minute longer. The sun began a tiny bit to rise back up in the sky. And when people that were very much attuned to the planets and the solar system and all the stars in the sky, they saw that, and they always had big celebration. And in Rome, that was the holiday of the unconquerable sun, because once again, the sun won. The battle of light was won by the forces of light, and so the Romans had this big celebration. When the Greek desecrated the temple on the 25th of Kislev, they may have at the time, we don't know for sure, that may have coincided, as it is this year, with the 25th of December, right? They didn't do that by mistake. It is possible that just like this year, 2,000 some years ago, the same thing happened. And they desecrated the temple and took over on probably the 25th of Kislev for us, but also the 25th, what will become the 25th of December later on. Which, explains Christmas, by the way. If you wonder why Christianity decided out of nowhere that Christ was born on December 24th, it's because of the Roman celebration. It's actually because the rebirth of the sun was for Christianity the rebirth of the sun. There's no mistake that the holiday of Christmas is directly linked to this pagan worship of, big fires in the Middle East, and they decided, that's going to be the date we're going to say that Christ was born. We have no knowledge of when that happened. So it's probably, connected to Rome because Christianity took over the Roman Empire, so it makes actual sense. The holiday was a lie that the rabbis made up in the first centuries of the Common Era, because the rabbis, they had a really big problem with Yehuda Maccabee. It's warm in here, isn't it? Yeah, it's warm. Can we, yeah. They have a big problem with Yehuda Maccabee and his descendants. The Hashmonean family, who won the war, decided to make themselves the kings of the Jews, of the Judeans. So they installed themselves, having won the war, they installed themselves as kings, the new kings of the Judean state. And they made a mistake, because up until that moment in the Jewish history, for almost 900 years of Jewish history, there was a separation of church and state. There were the kings that had their palace, and there were the priests in the temple. And there were two different kinds of power. But the Hashmonean decided that it was not enough for them to become the kings, they were going to become the priests as well. Not only that, which was a big no-no in our tradition, not only that, but as they won the war and installed themselves, having defeated the Greek Empire, there was this other empire that was knocking at the door of the Middle East called the Roman Empire. And because they were revolt against them by the Judeans who didn't like them to have taken over both the political and the church and the state, because of that, there were a lot of revolts against them. They decided that they couldn't squash the revolts fast enough, that they were threatened by their own people. And so what did they do? They invited the Romans to conquer them. And the Romans who were just like, okay, sure. We don't have to actually fight? No? Okay, then we'll just walk in. And that's exactly what they did. And once the Romans were there, obviously their rule was, worse than Nazism. I mean, they were the most brutal force that ever appeared on earth. In fact, we know the genocide against our people that took place at the hands of the Romans. We estimate that 3/4 of the Jewish people was murdered during the Roman Empire conquest of our land. Just 25% survived. And those 25%, after the destruction of the temple, were taken as slaves and spread around the Roman Empire, to serve the Roman legions and so on. So it was an absolutely awful power that ruled over us. Because of that, because of what the Hashmonean dynasty did, the rabbis, at the end of the rule of the Hashmonean family and the destruction of the temple, the rabbis saw that the Jewish people was at risk and they need to recreate Judaism as a portable religion, now that we're going to be dispersed through the entire Roman Empire. And so they started to kind of reshape all the Jewish worship, all the celebrations of the holidays. They invented the Passover Seder, for example. They invented the 3 prayers a day that we still do to this day, in mirroring the temple sacrifices of the time. They try to create kind of a mirror to what, being a Jew in the land of Israel, worshiping at the temple was. Not that you're going to be in Rome, you're going to be in Madrid, you're going to be in London, you're going to be, all right? So, although none of those cities existed yet, but you know what I mean. And then they noticed something that they didn't like, is that all those Jews were still celebrating this festival of light because they were still fearful of the darkest time of the year. And the rabbis were like, guys, we have to stop this. Because now it became like a commemoration of the victory of the Maccabees over the Greek Empire. And they hated the Hashmonean, they hated the Maccabees, because the Maccabees sold out the Jews to the Roman Empire. And so they were not, that's why the book of Maccabees, by the way, there's a book of Maccabees, is not part of the Jewish canon. It's excommunicated from the Jewish books. It's apocrypha, so it's floating around over there. But the rabbi said, no, we're not gonna do them that favor. We're not gonna take them in. So they rejected that. But the people still did this crazy Hanukkah thing. So what did they do? It's like, if you can't beat them, join them. So they invented Hanukkah as we know it. They said, okay, you know what? What happened? It's not about the Maccabees who won the war. When they came to rededicate the temple and brought from the catacombs all the Jewish artifacts to use them, they went and, they wanted to light the great menorah that looked like this. But there was enough oil they could find for one day. And then a miracle happened. And the light that was supposed to last one day lasted 8 days. Now we're not celebrating the Maccabees, we're celebrating the miracle. And if we're celebrating the miracle, then go ahead, light your candles, it's fine. It's all good. Now we're doing something else. We don't have to worry about the Maccabees. Hanukkah was always a minor holiday, by the way. Up until really the creation of the State of Israel, and here in the US, because of the competition with Christmas, Hanukkah became more prominent. In Israel, because they needed, as the foundation of the state, motivation for the people there, because the times were very harsh. It was very hard to settle the land. They needed to bolster people's and people's energy, and so they grabbed stories of greatness, right? The Maccabees were great. They resisted. They fought for their identity, for their right to live in the land. So for the founders of the land of Israel, before Israel existed, they grabbed onto those stories and made them more and more central. So the holiday of Hanukkah, which is a minor holiday, started to get much more prominence in the Jewish calendar. And today, look at tonight. There's as many people here tonight as on Yom Kippur. So it must be something, something good. And fried food, yes, because of the oil. So, the rabbis, again, if you're going to have a new made-up Jewish holiday, you're going to have to invent some food to go with it because it's a Jewish holiday. So the oil, anything cooked in oil, good for the holiday. Yeah. So tonight we'll sample some of that during the oneg. You can find the rabbinic discussion about Hanukkah actually in the Talmud, and it's like a few lines. There's nothing there. That they're discussing Shabbat, actually discussing something completely. They're discussing, the candles for Shabbat. And then at some point, there's one of the rabbis of the Talmud, it's written there, Ma hi Chanukah. What's Chanukah? And so the conversation is not about Chanukah at all, it's about the candles. And that's the passage that decrees that they should burn 20 minutes. That's it. Everything else is made up. But the only scriptural 2 lines in the whole 3,000 years of Jewish existence is the rabbi that in the Talmud says, what's Hanukkah, by the way? Because, my neighbors, they're doing the things we like, so what are we going to do about that? So that's it. That's the only thing. I'm going to end that part with the controversy in the Talmud between the 2 schools, the school of Hillel and the school of Shammai. And they were debating if we're going to have Hanukkah, and when they were talking about the candles, how should we light the candles? How should we light the candles? And the school of Shammai says, well, we have to light the candles according to what historically would have happened if the miracle was right? So let's say there was just enough oil to burn for one day. So if there were just enough oil to burn for one day, the brightest day was the first day. Because the second day, there was less oil, even if it lasted more. So less oil, it must have been shining less brightly. And then historically, if we understand the miracle, the third day, a little less brightly, and the fourth day, it was still shining, it was still lit, but it was, a little bit dimmer. So Shammai said what we should do is light all the candles the first night, and the second night, 7, and then the third, 6, and then on until the last candle on the last night. Hillel said, no. First of all, you're looking at it historically, but we're actually celebrating a miracle. So the miracle that there was light still the second day was a bigger miracle than the first day. And the third day that it was still burning, that was even a bigger miracle. So the miracle came and became bigger and bigger. So we should have more and more light because what we're celebrating is the miracle. And then Hillel said, and if you do it the Shammai way, the kids are not going to do it. The kids are not going to do it. They're not going to care if there's less light. It's more interesting when you're young to see that there's more. There's more candles, so it's more fun. So that's how we decided to do that. And also, I think there is a great precept in Judaism. In all that you do, you should always, it says, increase in holiness. Like you should leave a space better than you found it. You should make any place you live in or visit more sacred than when you left it. When the Jews came back and took back some neighborhoods in Jerusalem, there's a very famous story that they took back from like the German compound. There was a German neighborhood, there was a French neighborhood because they were international forces that were there. And when they finally declared independence and took those neighborhoods back, they had, let's say, because there are children here, homes where a lot of women worked. And so they're like, what are we going to do with those homes? And that's where they decided to actually transform those homes into synagogues. Because you always have to increase in holiness. And what's holy but a synagogue? And there's a beautiful precept for all of us to actually live from, to always increase in holiness. Okay. How are you doing? Good. I want to stop for a moment, because there is something unfortunately I have to talk to you about. Exactly. So Siri is going to do it. Before we continue with our next Hanukkah song, I want to share a few words, and I am moved by the words of the first song we sang, Peter Yarrow's "Don't Let the Light Go Out," because that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. I want to ask you to not let the light go out. Our synagogue is not doing well. Members who attended our annual meeting in June saw that we ended the year fiscally last year with $20,000 deficit. And it's really the first year in, I can't even remember, that we ended with such a loss. And if you remember, the board presented you, the community, with a budget that predicted another $20,000 deficit for this year. And that's the budget we're working off of. And we're about halfway through the fiscal year, and we're looking at this point at actual loss of $30,000. And this is only halfway through the year. There are many reasons for that. All small nonprofit organizations that I'm aware of and talk to a lot of people, all small organizations, we're all suffering. It's not just Bet Aleph. Hadn't been for the government subsidies during COVID, we already would have had a really hard time because of COVID, of course. And to continue serving you, we made, as you remember, massive investments in our ability to live stream our services, as many of you are enjoying tonight as well. That costs. The cost of having our Shabbat services, because of that, literally doubled. Of course, after COVID, when we thought finally we were going to get into a better time, inflation exploded. And that was the second blow to our finances that really topped what had happened before. And last year, with the war in Israel, a war in the Middle East, that affected the Jewish world as well, that was a third blow to our finances, of course. And that because, in part, it had forced us to increase our expenses for security, to keep ourselves secure. So we have reserves. We were very smart, specifically David Krupkin, over the years, to build our reserves. So we have reserves, and we've been able, obviously, to absorb last year's loss. We should be, if it doesn't, we will absorb this year's loss as well. But if we are unable to turn the tide, we might actually be on course to run out of money 3 years from now. And believe you me, your board is very well aware of the situation. We've had already several conversations. All the alarm bells are ringing, and there's a lot already of thought being put together to try and turn that corner before, thank God we have reserves, but we would like not to, use them to stay alive, which, hence don't let the lights go out. So I'm coming to you on this Shabbat of Hanukkah, which is the holiday of gift giving, and asking you to not let the lights go out. And there are things you can do to keep our community going, and I'm going to ask you to take a look at that. At least just to match our budgeted expectations and to stop us from digging a bigger hole for ourselves. So things you can do. We need to max out the attendance at the meditation retreat at the end of January. So if you were on the fence, whether you could spend a weekend meditating with me in the beautiful space of the Whitby Institute, please decide right now that, yeah, you're going to do it. It's going to be beautiful. The food is delicious. The rabbi isn't too bad, but it's really about being in community and meditating together over a weekend. Please sign up. We were able to meet the budgeted number for the class that I'm teaching right now. Although if those of you attending, if you want to make a little extra donation, that would help as well. So that's good. But I'm teaching another class to help meet our budget in the spring, and I'm going to need everyone to sign up for that one as well. I'm going to try to make it interesting. So when you see that come through our emails, just sign up. It's going to be a great class. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be an amazing class. I think I'm doing maybe an intro to Jewish meditation. I think that would be great. We need a spring phone-a-thon to exceed our expectations. When you get the call in the spring and a wonderful board member asks you to make a pledge to support our community, do more than what you did last year. Please. We need to have standing room only for our Passover Seder, which usually we do. And by the way, for those of you who are watching Shabbat from home, we will not be able to live stream our Passover this year. And the reason for that is over the last 2 years, and we have offered live streaming for our for members who watch from home, and we have served about 10-ish families every time at $18 a family, because the main cost of the Seder is the catering of the food. But so 10 families, $18. It costs Bet Aleph almost $1,100 to create the live streaming. That's what I'm talking about when we invested in this technology. I think there's also, what they call there is a point where the technology also no longer helps us. I think it's wonderful. You can be at home in your pajamas tonight and watch Shabbat services. But if you do that 1 Shabbat, 2 Shabbat, 3 Shabbat, 5 Shabbats, what you're missing is the connection with the people here. What you're missing is the community. And the community is really the most important part. And so, if you stay home too many Shabbats, then you feel disconnected. And when you feel disconnected, maybe you disconnect altogether, resign your membership, right? So maybe we are hurting ourselves. There is a point where it becomes, a challenge. And I know it's all easy for us, especially here in Seattle. We like to drive across the city as little as possible. But maybe that's not good for our communities. So, all of these are things that are happening, and they're already here. All you need to do is really commit to supporting it. All the classes and the retreats. It's all the beautiful things that, unless there's a cost to us, we offer for free to anyone. And we'll continue to do that because I believe that spirituality should be an offering, not a mortgage. But again, because we are offering, we're counting on your heart to support us and the work we're doing. So beyond making all that is already in the pipeline this year, to make everything extremely successful, I'm asking those of you who are not yet members, because that's the best way to support this community. Make a decision and become a member right now. We don't call them membership dues. We have sustaining members, people who are invested in this community being sustainable for the long run, for the next generation. When I'm long gone and there's 3 rabbis from now, this community will still be here serving the people it needs to serve. And that can only happen if you join as sustaining members of our community. Because sustaining members of our community give a gift every month. And that's how we can create a budget, because that's how we know what money is coming in to pay all the bills, to pay the rabbi's salary so he can pay his mortgage. So we really, that to us, membership is that assurance that we can actually build, we say some kind of security, our community. So if you've been on the fence, tonight commit to supporting us by becoming members. If you're already a member, I wasn't at the annual meditation, at the annual meeting because I was really sick, but I asked that a message be conveyed that anyone who is a member, and I know we're all struggling with inflation as well, all of us individually. But I asked that, maybe as a possibility, if you are able to, and if you don't give, say, a $100 a month, that you bring your gift to $100 a month. That would also help us a lot. And if you need to know how to become a member and how to do that, the email is administrator@betaleph.org. Administrator@betaleph.org, and Melissa will support you in the steps it takes to come and support us, to support this work. Lastly, promise. Then we have the song. There are 10 days left until the end of the year, and we are in the desperate rush to match our budgeted mere $6,000 of donation we need to make our budget by the end of the year. And so far, we barely have reached $1,500 of those $6,000. And that's because one member donated $1,000. So we have a long way to go. And you see why it feels very scary to me when I look at what's going on. Because my livelihood depends on your heart and your support. So that's why I'm standing here, sharing all this with you on the night of Hanukkah Shabbat, where I really would prefer not to do that. I really would prefer not to be standing here and telling you all this. A very generous donor has pledged a matching fund for $5,000, matching every dollar donated between tonight through the end of this year, through the 31st of December. So whatever donation you're able to make, that will be matched up to $5,000, which should get us over the $6,000 that we need to have just to meet our budget. So what you can do, just like you did for Tzedakah, if you're on the app or if you're on the website, just go where it says donate, scroll down. There should be a year-end donation or something to that wording. I don't exactly know how it is, and we'll make sure that it's being matched. And please support us. We have 10 days to do that. And please don't let the lights go out. We've been here for 30 years, and I hope we'll be here for another 30 years. Thank you. The song is Mi Yemalel. It's somewhere in your handout.
ימלל גבורות ישראל אותני ימנה, הם בכל דור יקום הגיבור גואל העם. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Shema, בימים ההם בזמן הזה, מכבי מושיע ופודה, ובימינו כל עם ישראל. Yisrael otan mi yimne, and bechol dor yakum hagibor goel ha'am. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid.
And please rise. We are on page 5 in your prayer book this time. And join me for the Baruch Hu. יהיה בסדר. ברכו את Adonai המבורך. Bless the eternal, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai המבורך לעולם ועד. Blessed is the eternal, the one who is blessing eternally. At the top of page 6, we meet the words of the Shema, the 6 words that are the central affirmation of our tradition, the 6 words that are the original biblical mantra of Jewish meditation practice. Join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. The eternal manifests as all that is. The eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the name. The splendor of its presence shines eternally.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We continue at the bottom of the page with a Ve'ahavta. Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher hotzei metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם לשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. One last thing about this holiday. This is the holiday that celebrates miracles. And I know for us, it's like miracles. We don't believe in miracles. These are fairy tales from ancient times. The whole thing about the oil burning and, Moses parting the Sea of Reed and Rabbi Jesus walking on water and miracles. No, we don't believe in miracles. Well, wait a minute. You're here tonight. That's a miracle. I mean, we are here tonight. You and me and all the people in the space, you who are watching from home, we are here tonight. Each of us. You're occupying this chair and you are occupying that chair. And we are all here tonight. Now, what are the odds that all of us would find our way here or there tonight? I mean, think about your life journey. How did you even get to Seattle? Unless, there's like 3 or 4 who were born here. But I mean, in the entire city. But how did you, right? We have one. We have two. Okay, we have all the people born in Seattle in this space tonight. Now, but think about your journey. Think about where you come from. Think about all the things that have had to happen in your life that brought you to come on a Friday night to this weird place, Center for Spiritual Living, where Jews worship. That's weird. I mean, think about it. Think about your individual journey. How did you get here tonight? And then think about every single person's individual journey that brought them here tonight. Me? I was born in Marseille, France. I was never going to be living in Seattle. I didn't know where Seattle was. All I knew about America was New York City. Well, I exaggerate, but right? I mean, that was not my life trajectory. I was born and raised in France, in a very lovely Jewish family. My dad really wanted me to be a lawyer, bribed me to be a lawyer, gave me his car so I could stay in France and be a lawyer because he could never be a lawyer himself. And then I decided to kiss my dad goodbye and went to Israel instead. I stayed in Israel for 10 years. I'm Israeli. I served in the Israeli army. I went to college in Jerusalem. I was never going to be in America. You know, I arrived in Israel. I was very religious. I studied in the yeshiva in Jerusalem, in the French yeshiva, because, you know, I had to learn the language. So at least there was one language I already knew. That was easier. My rabbi, I couldn't understand him. But yeah, I mean, I was going to be an Israeli forever. That was my love, my place. And then I met this woman where I worked in this hotel. She was from a very little known country called Minnesota. It's stuck in between the U.S. and Canada. Yeah, we found each other. We worked for the same boss of the food and beverage manager of a 5-star hotel in Israel. And it just so happens that we fell in love. And then at some point, I was in the Israeli army, and she said, you know, I'm going back to school. I'll be in Portland, Maine. Call me if you have a minute. And as soon as I was liberated from my military service, I called her and I said, hey, want to give us a chance? And she said, talk to my therapist. That was a sign I should have known right there. Anyways, I eventually found myself, and I lived, when I first arrived to America, I had $2,000 in my pocket, and I landed in Portland, Maine in October. From Israel, I had a little suitcase with summer clothes. In October, in Maine, I spent most of my $2,000 on clothing so I could survive that first winter. It's beautiful. Maine is glorious. I mean, come on. How did I get here? I got here because my now ex-wife, her sister lived in Bellevue had a family, and she just gave birth to her third child. And she called her sister and said, help! We're outnumbered here. And so we flew to Seattle to support her sister and her 3 children at the time. We found a little apartment in Fremont in the end of the 90s. And it just so happened there was this rabbi who was doing this presentation with a Buddhist nun about, spirituality in Judaism versus Buddhism. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to go. And I met the rabbi who founded Bet Aleph. I'm giving you the short version of that story. And so, the next few days when Shabbat came around, I told my wife, okay, we got to go check that guy he was great. I want to learn more about what he's teaching. And so we came and we sat in the back. Hi, John. Right there where you're sitting. Just in case we had to run away very quick. You never know. It's your first time. And I just fell in love with the teachings, with the mystical aspect of everything, with the meditations that happen here, with the music, but also with all of you, the people that were here. It felt immediately like home. Everybody is so friendly. Nothing, there was no demand made on anybody. You didn't have to dress a particular way. Remember, I was Orthodox up until that point. That was a shock to come to Bet Aleph. I'll tell you that. But I got over myself. Thank God. So that's how I got here. Impossible. 3 continents, decades, and here I am, standing in front of you, giving this talk, which you could not hear unless the miracle of life. It's a miracle that you are here, that I am here. I mean, for me, I survived, many times at death's door. So it's really a miracle for me to be standing here in front of you. But we don't pay attention. Every moment in our life is a miracle. Every person we meet also had their journey that brought them there, and then we meet them wherever it is we meet them. It's incredible. I read an article once that said that statistically, it's almost impossible that there is any other kind of life like ours in the entire universe. I mean, what it took for us to exist over billions of years, the odds of exactly the same thing happening in the way it happened is just astronomically impossible. We may be the only kind of sentient, somewhat thinking species in the entire universe, self-reflecting, having ideas, creating music and art, and we may be the only, what? We are an absolute miracle. We are the light of the divine, expressing as each of us. Spiritually, we lose track of the miracle of us, that we are the created in the image of God, according to our to our spiritual teachers. We are the image of God. We are the light of the divine made into a candle. I always see the candles actually backwards. It's the light that create the candles and not the candles that manifest the light. Right? The light is at the core, and then the candles is around it. What happens is that we forget the light, the miracle we are, and we identify with a candle. We think with a thing of wax. Oh, this. No, we are the light of the universe, becoming human. Whether you believe in the divine or just in evolution, it's a miracle. I want us to reclaim the miracle of every single moment of our life because we miss what's right in front of us. The impossibility of now. The impossibility of now. So I want to, leave you with that tonight. Step into the miracle of you. You are the light, not the candle. You are the divine. It's like one of my teachers says, you are a gift from God in a time of gift giving. You are a gift from God. Stop identifying with a wrapping paper. All right, we are on page 3. The song is not in your prayer book, in your song sheets. The song is not by might, but we need to change it a little bit this year because of what has happened this past year. I want to change the words a little bit, and I want to say tonight, it's not only by might and not only by power. You see it? You have it? Yeah. Right? It says not by might and not by power, but by spirit alone. Well, that's nice. But life is a little bit different. And sometimes you need a little bit of might and you need a little bit of power to live in peace, right? And unfortunately, that's what has happened this past year. So I'm going to change it for me this year, not only by might and not only by power. So it's not only by that, as both are unfortunately necessary from time to time, but mostly by Spirit, shall we all live in peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Amen.
Not only by might and not only by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not only by might and not only by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Children sing, the children dream, and their tears may fall, but we'll hear the call, and another song will rise. Another song will rise. Another song will rise. Not only by might and not only by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not only by might and not only by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not by might, not by power. Shalom.
Amen. You may be seated. We're going to enter into a space for healing. I'm going to invite you right now to hold in your heart all the people in your life that you know are in need of healing, whether they're very close to you or a little bit on the outer rim of your inner circle. Maybe include, our nation, maybe include really our world, however big you want to make it. But I want to also specifically have you hold names of people you know directly, if there are anyone that you want to send energies of healing, to include them in this space by letting them appear in your heart. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, מי שברך אמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא יברך וירפא את David Mark, Daniel Clark, Maxwell Bernard, Lynn Carroll, Lawrence Stern, Elizabeth Heath, Maggie Pisner, Ronnie Shapiro, Margaret Bergman Ness, Amy Lowe, Noah Clark, Carlos Taylor, Deborah Liebes, Edward Tensman, Laura Sack-Klein, Julie Wilchins, Darcy Donegan, Judy Cohen, Michelle Cooksley, Claire Kelly, Wendy Zeeve, Jeannie Waters, Jim Halverson, Zoe Sutter, Ann Adams, Michael Burkhardt, Ruth Oppenheimer, Kathleen Anderson, Marianne Spiegel, Sharon Mayo, Jack Chase, Joyce Yachminoff, David Brooks, Lois Brown, Christy McLean, Zareth Irwin, Anne Smithwick Selman, Evelyn Kaufman Yaari, Beverly Sorensen, Leif Sorensen, Ben Litz. And as you name all the names that you hold in light of healing, ימלא רחמים עליהם, לחזקם ולרפאתם ברפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש, רפואת הגוף. The song is Heal Us Now.
Rifayenu Adonai v'nei Rafei Hoshienu v'ni v'shea El Karo l'chol korav Ach karov lireav Yisho.
We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. El Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shlema. El Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Please heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now.
Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachlatecha, ureim benasiem ad haolam. Misheberach avotenu, misheberach imotenu.
Ana Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the earth, for peace for every race and nation, for the love that
And we have reached the concluding moments of our Shabbat service, Chanukah Shabbat service. We are on page 12. In your prayer book, I invite you to please rise. We say together, we are the ones given this way of praising the Holy One of all being, that we might understand and express the greatness of the one who shapes all creation. We celebrate our uniqueness and that of others, and seek to discover the wonder that we are. Therefore, we bend the knees, we bow, and we proclaim our gratitude before the ruler of all rulers, the Holy One of all being. As it is said, then we shall truly realize the Eternal One as universal being. And on that day, the unity of being shall be celebrated by all. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עצלנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו On page 13, we meet the mourner's Kaddish. And we take a moment at this time in our worship service to invite into our heart and into our mind those we remember on this Shabbat. Those who have traveled with us, perhaps in a short segment of our life, or those who had traveled with us most of our lives. Those without whom we wouldn't be who we are today. How the miracle of their life and their journey intersected with ours. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of memory those who have made their transition in recent days or weeks, those for whom we hold Shiva or Shloshim, Barbara Schlotfeld, sister of Kate Elias, Mariah Berry, friend of Chiki Hannon, Linda Morris of the Battle of Community, Dan Trudeau, neighbor of Linda Morris, Fred Williamson, a friend of Keith Irvin, Sean Demerel, a friend of Linda Morris. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of memory the names of those who have made their transition this past year. Asher Etkin, Marilyn Coleman, Dolores Heller, Mike Iverson, Ruth Kalish, Ed Stutner, Debbie Levine Herman, Jackie Curran, Joe Geller, Philip Herzog, Valerie Shanke, Fatima Hersey, Joe Reddish, Aubrey Chase, Erica Pearl, Janet Crawley, Wendy Schaff, Dolores Ament, Dina Griggs, Thomas Atum O'Kane, Benjamin Jacob Meadow, Anne Smith. On this Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their transition, happens at this time of the year. Otto Lowy, Lillian Danker, Janet Freeman, Arthur Baldoff Jr., Dennis Reagan, Alan Arridge, Mel Simon, Hai Krupkin, Judy Kenny. And as you name in your heart those you remember tonight, join me. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביום אחד, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתהלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all the household of Israel, and for all the peoples of the world. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated for a minute, really just for a minute. Please join us. I know we're running a little late, but it's Hanukkah, so there's more things we do on one Shabbat a year. But there's some really good Hanukkah food waiting for us downstairs. So hang on a few more minutes and come. We share the blessings downstairs, and we'll delight in our first taste of Hanukkah. We're going to close with two songs. The first one, just to be good. We know we did the Sephardi song early on. Now we're going to do the Yiddish song. So we are on your song little sheets. We are at the bottom of page 3 for the Hanukkah song, and then we have our grand finale. It's going to be grand, and it's going to be finale. So stick around.
Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Sivivon to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Oy Hanukkah, ayon tefashena, a lustiger, a freiliger, niet no noch a zena. Alle nachten dreidelijk spielen mir, zudig hekste latkes essen mir. Geschwinde sind Kinder, die Hanukkah letterlechon. Zogt al hanis, mit oi Brot, var den nis, die mulu mir alle tanzen in Kon. Zogt al hanis, mit oi Brot, var den nis, die mulu mir alle tanzen in Kon.
for the grand finale. Ladies and gentlemen. We have a treat for you. Never performed in this space before. The song we have all been waiting for, even though we didn't know it existed. Are we ready? Almost. I have to milk it a little more. A song that comes straight to us from 613, which is a YouTube band of Jews. 613 because there's 613 commandments. That's why they have their name. Have given us Elton Jonuka. Elton Jonuka is on page 4 if you want to follow along.
Jews are ready, donuts with jelly, latkes in the pan.
Hanukkah, we love to see ya. Tiny dreidels in our hands. Spin a gimbal, tiny dreidel. Count the 8 lights burning brightly. Light the candles
To remember
the miracles
of yesterday. I remember when the Seleucids said we couldn't circumcise our kids, study Torah or keep kosher homes. It was all too much. Mattathias said no.
King Antiochus quite a shock. Fought back his army with spears and rocks. Now today you'll never find him on our block. And throughout all the ages, God has been our rock. Oh, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. And I think it's gonna be a long 8 nights to celebrate the festival of lights, commemorate the miracle of oil on Escadol. I'm a vodka man.
Like a man frying up this food of potatoes.
Chag Sameach, doo-doo-doo. Chag Sameach.
Yes, I think we're gonna have a real good time. I hope this recipe will come out right. I've never made sufganiyot at home. Oh no, no, no. And the Maccabees, they lit their lights like the candles in the window, always knowing they see victory when the Greeks came in.
And although the great menorah is no longer lit, the oil burned out long ago. Traditions never did. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba. We can never know what it's like, only having oil left for just one night. Just a tiny little light that shines so true. But then a miracle occurred. It burned for 8 nights through. Don't you know that we're still standing each and every Yid? 'Cause Jews are the true survivors. Yeah, we beat the Seleucids. Yeah, the oil kept burning after all 8 nights. Like Judah and the Maccabees who wouldn't give up on the fight. We're still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. yeah. We're still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're still standing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. We'll see you downstairs.